I'd like to welcome you all for this fifth day of the STTP organized by Pimpri Chinchwad College of Engineering in association with IETE local chapter Pune and IET local chapter. I'd like to introduce today's guest of honor, a speaker, Professor J.R. Rate sir. Let me introduce Sir in a brief. Sir is having 24 years of experience in the field of communication. Sir will be having their expertise in various domains: the computer networking, mobile application, next generation networks, the antenna designing, RF designing, and Sir will be having a very key interest in the field of communication. Sir currently Sir is pursuing PhD from SPPU Pune, and I'll be starting with the today's session with the basics of the RF designing section. So I'll make a request to Rajesh sir to start with your session. Thank you, sir.
To design the equipments and to test the equipments in this particular say ranges of frequencies is very crucial issue today. And as you are aware, radio frequencies are typically starting with some 30 megahertz of frequency, and they can extend up to some 300 megahertz. Of course, 1 gigahertz to 300 gigahertz is the typical range for the microwave frequencies, but this particular say word is interchangeably used with the radio frequencies also. So that way, this range of frequency is important for us as far as the measurement and testing is concerned, right? So today's agenda is linear system versus non-linear systems. One has to understand whether your device is a linear device or the non-linear device, right, before testing it. Then we will see why we need the testing and measurement as far as RF and radio frequencies are concerned. Right. Then we will try to simplify how the measurements can be carried out. So I'll introduce you to the concept of measurement, where we will try to make this particular say concept as simple as possible, and then we will see how the measurements can be carried out on the variety of the devices or the equipment especially. Then we will see the device characterization, what particular parameters we should consider while testing the particular components. Very important equipment we are going to see that is being used today in this particular domain of high frequency, that is network analyzer. We will see the building blocks of that. We will see one sample case of how to measure the various parameters there. Later on we will see what parameters are associated with the device or the device under test, and then we'll see how the testing of power measurement, S parameter measurement, or maybe some other sample parameters can be carried out. Yeah, linear versus non-linear systems. So as you can see over here, that there is one component shown. This component we will be calling in future as device under test. DUT is called as device under test. It is having some input port and it is having some output port. To this particular say input port, you will be applying, let us say, some signal, sinusoidal signal of some amplitude and defined frequency, right? And the frequency domain representation of the same signal is shown over here, which is having frequency f1. So you may say that the single f1 frequency you are applying over here, right? And the output of this particular say device under test is shown in this case over here. You can see that the same output is available with some phase lagging kind of representation, and a same frequency is available in the output. So you may call this particular device as a linear device. It shows linear behavior when you are having input and output frequencies same, right? And there is no additional frequency created in this particular case as mentioned, right? So one can say a device is a linear device which is having input-output relations same in terms of frequency. Whatever frequency is applied at the input, same frequency will be seen in the output, right? So only magnitude may deviate in this particular case, or sometimes the phase is going to change in that particular case, but frequency is not deviated. A single frequency is the output as single frequency is applied as input. So this is what very important as far as some of the devices are concerned, and such linear devices and their parametric, we can say, measurements are easily possible out of the network analyzers, right? Even the non-linear behavior of a component can also be, we can say, that analyzed by means of the analyzers, but for the particular things for such systems we need the large signal analyzers or large scale analyzers are typically utilized for that purpose. So the device, this device under test can be called as a non-linear device if single frequency is applied at the input, but you can see over here there are multiple output frequencies available. You may say that this is what the fundamental frequency f1 as it is available over here, but even it is also of higher value. We can see over here this particular value is injected at the input, but here what output is available, the output is bit increased. And not only this, you are having the multiple sets of frequency available. You may say that the harmonics are available over there. So such systems or such devices under test are typically called as the non-linear devices. Today we are going to look into how one can measure the parameters for such, you can say that, the linear components only, right? So non-linear, maybe if some time is there, we'll try to cover it. Yeah. Now, why do we need to test the components, right? We are designing the systems. There are multiple blocks available in the systems that you are aware of, because communication systems, if you look at the receiver, it is made up of variety of blocks, starting with the antenna, RF section, mixer, local oscillator, IF amplifiers, detectors, power amplifiers, like that. So many blocks are available over there, and each and every blocks demands some components, maybe electronic components, maybe some microwave components in the system. So ultimately, one has to understand the behavior of that particular component which is used in the system, and for that particular purpose, we need to understand what the parameters are associated with whether that particular component is performing up to its specifications or not. So to verify specifications of building blocks for more complex RF systems, we need to test the components over there, right? At the same time, we have to ensure whether the particular component introduced in the system, whether it is generating some sort of distortion, more distortion, less distortion, right? Which is applied as an input, which is available in the system. So if you apply some input over here, if itself it is adding some distortion, ultimately your output signal will be affected in that particular case. So as already discussed, that the linear devices, non-linearity or linearity available in the devices, one has to test it, right? And very importantly, communication system, one thing is required, and that is what the impedance calculations. Many times, if a device is connected into the system, which is acting as a load for the previous stage, and you are aware of, maybe you have studied the maximum power transfer theorem in your electrical networks. If the load impedance is matched with the earlier stages, probably the maximum power transfer takes place in that particular case. So knowing the impedance of the component is very much important in the communication systems. So for that particular purpose also, some tests have to be carried out. And of course, in today's communication system, the very important element is antenna. And when this antenna is connected to the kind of transmitter, with the kind of receivers, ultimately its impedance is coming into picture. And this impedance, if it is not appropriately matched with the transmitter, probably it won't radiate much power into the space, or maybe it cannot generate powers for the receivers. So that way, one has to understand the behavior of the component, the various parameters of the component, whether the specifications are met or not. So accordingly, one has to test it, and later on, if it is meeting the requirements, it can be deployed in the variety of block sets, maybe of transmitters, maybe of receivers. Yes. Now we will try to make here the light wave analogy of our microwave signals, right? So here one can say that this is nothing but the prism, right? or maybe the light is passing through this particular, say, prism over here, and you are aware of there is a light energy incident on this particular, say, prism, and of course some of the light is passing through this, so you may say that it is a transmitted light ray available over here, but due to the refractive indices and all, some of the energy is reflected back also. So whatever energy is incident, light energy is incident on this particular, say, component right now, right, it is not totally transmitted at this particular site, but rather some of the energy is reflected back. Now similar thing happens with our device when it is being deployed in the system, right? This is what our device under test. We are applying radio frequency to this or micro frequency to this, right? So this energy is incident over here due to the property of this particular device. Some of the energy is reflected back and some of the energy is being transmitted. We are very much interested in getting the maximum energy to be transmitted through the device. This particular device should not absorb the power or it should not reflect the power back. If the power is reflected back, ultimately it is leading to the loss. So one has to understand over here, we are very much interested in sending this power with the optimum, we can say that, power level or the optimum gain in that particular case, right? So whatever energy is incident, same energy should be available at the output. That is what the theoretical assumption, but practically it is not happening that way. Some of the energy is lost in the particular device, some of the energy is even reflected back. All right. So this particular diagram is very useful when we carry out the measurement as far as our network analyzers are concerned, because we are interested in that particular case in the incident power, in the reflected power and the transmitted power, and depending upon the plane over there, the left hand side plane as well as the right hand side plane in this case, right, we have decided some parameters associated with the system, right? So I hope you understood this particular, say, light wave analogy. The any energy, microwave energy falling on the component, that is what available in the cascaded blocks, right? So total energy is not at the output port of that particular component, rather some of the energy is reflected back and it leads to the losses. That loss is typically called as return loss in that case, right? Not only return loss, but other losses are also happening in the device. But to make you acquainted that what we want to calculate in this particular case, we are very much interested in this case what is the incident power, what is the reflected power, and what is the transmitted power. Transmitted power means what the power available at the output of this particular, say, device under test, right? Yes. Now this is what the high frequency device characterization, right? So what parameters are available, as I mentioned, that on the left hand side of this particular, say, device and the right hand side of this particular, say, device. So two planes, one can say that the left half plane is there and the right hand plane is there. So left hand and right hand planes are there. In this particular plane, one can see there is incident power and the reflected power. And if we correlate this particular, say, power at the input side, probably these many parameters are arising out of this, right? What these parameters are, very first parameter is what is the reflected amount of energy and what is the incident amount of energy. If you take a ratio of this, it is talking about the reflection coefficient. We want reflection coefficient should be as small as possible, right? If it is as small as possible, probably the kind of losses, that loss is called as typically a return loss, which will be less in that particular case, right? So that way, if we correlate these powers in variety of ways, probably these many parameters are available at the input side of this particular, say, device under a test. What these parameters are, as I mentioned, reflection coefficient, then standing wave ratio, that is again one of the important parameter associated with this. Then S parameters, those are called as scattering parameters. These are typically utilized for the characterization of high frequency devices. As I mentioned, our frequency is not low frequency, rather it is high frequency, beginning at maybe 1 gigahertz and ending at 300 gigahertz. So it is very large frequency associated over here. So at this particular frequency, it is very difficult to measure the voltages and currents. Rather, we are measuring the fields, rather E and H kind of fields are measured. And on the basis of that, probably whatever parameters are available over here, those are called as the scattering parameters. We cannot calculate the Z parameter or maybe Y parameter kind of things for such at such high frequency, because as I mentioned, it is difficult to measure the voltages and currents at high frequency, and that is why we have to rely on the scattering parameters. And again, this requires we can say that good understanding in the high frequency domain, that how to calculate S parameters, and from S parameters how one can calculate variety of parameters like reflection coefficient, standing wave ratio, return loss, and even impedance is also one of the important, we can say, that concept over here, because this particular stage, if connected to the earlier stage, this input impedance is coming into picture for the earlier stage and acts as a load in that case. So it is very essential in that case how to match this impedance with these earlier stages. And in communication system, many times we need some impedance matching networks to be introduced between the earlier stage and the latter stage. All right. At the right hand side of this particular device at high frequency, we can see that there are transmission parameters. Those are called as transmission parameters. So left hand side is the reflection parameters typically called, and these are typically called as the transmission parameters. So how one can calculate transmission parameters? So how much energy is transmitted by how much is incident, it is typically giving you the transmission parameters, and out of that you can calculate the kind of parameters called as S parameters, scattering parameters. You can calculate what amount of gain, what amount of loss has happened. Transmission coefficient, it is typically defined by this particular formula. Then what group delays are associated in the output. Group delay, this particular parameter is nothing but the transit time of a wave inside that particular device under test. So if energy is entering at this particular point in the device, how much time it is taking to come out of this particular device, and with that particular time, this group delay is associated. We expect this group delay should be constant, right, for all kind of, we can say that, the signal introduced over here, but many a times the non-linearities are available in the components, and due to that the group delays are also varying in that particular case. So these parameters are important as far as the components are concerned, and the variety of analyzers, maybe sometimes scalar analyzers are used, sometimes vector analyzers are used, right? Those are calculating these parameters and helping us to characterize the particular component, whether it is meeting the required specifications or not. Yes, at the input side, as I mentioned, variety of parameters one can calculate, and these are the mathematical relations, and those can easily be remembered. Reflection coefficient, it is the reflected voltage divided by the incident voltage, right? And it is having some phase angle also, and it can be written in terms of the load impedance and the characteristic impedance of a given maybe the component. Sometimes it is a transmission line, sometimes it is the coupler, sometimes it is mixer. So this kind of components one can have, and the reflection coefficient is very, very essential in that particular case. This is going to tell us about the impedance value or the characteristic impedance of that particular component. Even we can calculate a variety of losses in that particular case. And here one thing is very important, that is the VSWR, voltage standing wave ratio. This particular red color diagram is nothing but the kind of waves superimposed on each other, and they are called as the standing waves. This typically happens in the piece of transmission line. One can see over here that there are piece of transmission lines are available, and in this particular transmission line, if you introduce some signal at this particular point, and let us say at this particular point impedance is not matched, what happens? The energy is reflected back. So the incident energy from this direction and the reflected energy from this direction, right, they get superimposed on each other on this particular transmission line, and that's why we are getting this standing wave pattern available over here. And if you calculate the Emax, that is the maximum amplitude of this particular standing wave, to its minimum amplitude, probably one can get this VSWR as Emax by Emin, and with some mathematical manipulation you can correlate this VSWR with 1 plus, that is called as reflection coefficient, divided by 1 minus reflection coefficient. So one can see over here, if you are having zero reflection in the system, the maximum value of VSWR, the minimal value of VSWR, you will be having unity over there. And if you are having the maximum reflection, let us say one value, unity value. So in that particular case, this is 1 minus 1. So VSWR can tend to infinity. It is what mentioned over here. So VSWR is voltage standing wave ratio is minimal value is 1 and its maximum value is infinity, corresponding to reflection coefficient equal to 0, and reflection coefficient here in this case is 1. At the same time, the load impedance, one can see over here that at this particular end, if the load is open circuited, short circuited, accordingly the reflection happens, right? So at this end of the transmission line, right, one has to have the matched impedance, right? So one has to understand how to calculate this particular say, impedances, whether the impedances will be matching with the earlier stages or not. So all these particular stuff one can get it out of this particular say measurements. Yeah. Likewise, these are some relations shown over here as the transmission parameters. So reflection parameters happens on the left hand side of the device. The transmission parameters are typically associated with the right hand side of the particular device, right? So again, it is incident voltage and the transmit voltage shown in this case. This is what the transmission coefficient as already defined, be transmitted by the incident. We can calculate even insertion loss out of this. So at this particular site, you can calculate the losses also. Insertion loss defined by means of this particular relation and gain value with this particular relation. I'm just showing you this particular relations because one should be aware of how to calculate this particular say parameters on paper if some parametric values are given to us. Otherwise, as the network analyzers are available with us, they can directly give us calculations of these particular values in real time, right? So you should be aware of at least with this particular say relations. So we are interested in the transmission parameters, we are interested in the reflection parameters, right? Now ultimately, whenever we talk about the kind of, we can say that the network analyzers to be used for the measurement purpose, testing purpose in the RF and micro domain, there is always a misconception in the mind that network analysis in the micro domain means it is the analysis of routers, it is the analysis of bridges, repeaters, or kind of the component. It's not like that. Rather, network analysis in the microwave zone or the RF zone is a bit different. Under this particular say heading, under network analysis or under network analyzers, we are going to calculate variety of important parameters of the device under test, and we will see soon very soon that what different components one can test by using the network analyzers. All right, so this is what one has to understand, that network analysis in the microwaves is not the understanding or the knowing the performances of router bridges, rather is something else. We are going to calculate the variety of parameters for the variety of devices under test. All right. This comes under the network computer networks. So under that, you are having the different softwares available where probably one can predict the performance of the networks, right? So that is the different domain, right? Our domain right now is RF and micro, where we have to analyze the components. Right? So ultimately, if you are already attending this particular say STTP since last 1 week, and my colleagues probably have explained you what is spectrum analyzer, how it can be used for the measurement of the variety of or analysis of various of amplitude modulation, frequency modulation, or maybe some other modulations, right? So what is the net difference available between the network analyzers and spectrum analyzer? As I mentioned in the beginning, that we are going to see today the network analyzers and how they can be utilized for the measurement. So ultimately, analyzer, since there comes the word spectrum analyzer also. So it can be network analyzer, it can be spectrum analyzer, but ultimately there is a difference available between these two. What is the difference? Major difference lies between these two. The major difference is your network analyzer measures the known signal, right? On the other side, if you look at the spectrum analyzers, they measures the unknown signal. Now, what is the meaning of this measures known signal and measures unknown signal? In these particular say network analyzers, it is important to have a source available maybe a microwave source or radio frequency source. And this particular source is introducing the power to be incident, as we have seen in the earlier diagram, that incident power is important in that case. This power is injected into the device under test, and the transmitted power is collected by the same device at the other port, right? And that way one can say that this particular equipment measures the known signal. That means input is known, right? And only output is, we can say that from the device under test is taken out, and then it is applied to the kind of device. So you can see over here there is the RF output port available on this device, right? There are two ports available on this device. We will see the other VNA picture later on, right? There are two ports probably seen over here. So one is generating the output power, that is what the source one can say that, right? So this is a known signal. So here in between them, one can introduce the particular say device under test, that is called as the DUT, and this DUT output is applied to this particular source. So it works on the known signal. But on the other side, if you look at the spectrum analyzers, a port is available over here, right? You are taking something as an output from a block set, let us say in this case the AM modulator, right? And this AM modulator output is applied over here. So probably on the spectrum analyzer, you will be getting some sort of say the center frequency, and around that your two side bands are available in that particular case. So this man works with the sort of unknown signals that way. And ultimately, it's not only a single difference available between them. There are multiple differences available, right? If you look at the analyzers, network analyzers especially, right? The measures components, devices, circuits, and the sub-assemblies are possible. They are just used to measure the signal amplitudes, their characteristics, what is the carrier level, what is the side, what are the harmonics available in that particular case, right? Here there is the source and receiver available, right? In this particular case, this is only a receiver, right? A single channel receiver it is, right? This can demodulate and measure the complex signals, right? At the same time, this can also detect the complex signal, that is not issue. It shows your output in terms of the amplitude and the phase, right? In this particular case, the representation is the amplitude versus the frequency, right? And in this particular case, you can see over here that the advanced error corrections are possible. So many, we can say, calibration processes one can carry out under this network analyzers, and the errors can be minimized in this particular case. Of course, in this particular case also, one can carry out the kind of the error correction, but many times the external components we need to incorporate in that particular case, right? So coming to the network analyzers, so this is just the definition of the network analyzer. This is nothing but the instrument that measures the response of a network as a vector, and that is why it is the vector network analyzer. Of course, there is a scalar network analyzer also available with us, which is only taking care of the amplitude properties of a particular device. So typically, you are having the VNAs nowadays available with us, right? This instrument measures the response of a network as a real and imaginary parameters, right? And so that by out of that, the performance can be factorized. So ultimately, there are three main, we can say that the types of RF network analyzers available. One is a scalar network analyzer, SNA, which is only measuring amplitude properties of the device, right? So one can say that it only calculates the scalar properties in that case, right? It is not talking about the phase kind of parameter. So many a times in communication systems, phase parameter is very, very important, right? And that's why to understand amplitude as well as phase, one has to use the vector network analyzers, right? So this is what very crucial use of the network analyzer. They provide us the information of amplitude as well as the phase, right? And due to this particular say VNA is also called as gain phase meter, or sometimes it is called as automatic network analyzers, right? And apart from that, you are having the large signal network analyzers also. Of course, cost wise, the cost goes on increasing over here as we go ahead from the SNA to the LSNA, right? Because the functionality the kind of complexity, the facilities, right? Those are increasing in this particular case, and even very soon we will see that they are frequency dependent also. Their cost is frequency dependent also. For every 1 gigahertz of frequency, probably cost is increased by 1 lakh. This is the general thumb rule as far as this particular say devices are concerned. For example, you want to procure the 3 gigahertz VNA, it comes, let us say, for 5 lakhs. So if I want to go for 4 gigahertz of VNA, probably 1 lakhs can be added over there, and that way cost goes on increasing. So the operation is frequency dependent also for this VNS, right? We were talking about the large signal network analyzers. Now, under this particular analyzers, typically they take care of the large signals, right? So that's why they are called as the large signal network analyzers. And at the same time, they are taking care of non-linearities of the network. At the beginning itself, as I mentioned, that we are having the linear properties also associated with the devices. Non-linear properties are also associated with the devices. And that way, whenever non-linear parameters are to be measured, probably such analyzers are to be used at particular case. And ultimately, in educational systems, we don't require this, but in field, probably these are highly required over there, right? And another name for this LSNA is microwave transition analyzer, or simply MTA. So today our focus is on the vector analyzer, right? The most popular VNAs today are the VNAs of Agilent or maybe Keysight. These are the prominent companies, but apart from that, there are other manufacturers also, right? Those are providing the VNAs, right? But probably the kind of precision, the kind of the measurement carried by the Agilent and the Keysight kind of components, those are excellent as compared to other people. And widely in the actual field, people are relying on Keysight or the Agilent kind of the devices. Nowadays, Agilent has migrated to the medical-based devices manufacturing. It's the same company, and its sister company is now Keysight, which is manufacturing the devices for the equipments or the communication systems, right? Now, this is what the general block diagram of the network analyzer, and these are the building blocks of the particular say network analyzer. Right. Now, what are the building blocks? As we have seen that this particular say network analyzers are the having the sources, right? So one should have a source inside this, right? So source is one of the component for providing stimulus. So this particular say energy is given to device under test. So you may say that this is, let us say, the port 1 of the device, right? And this is what the port 2 of the device, right? So port 1, port 2. So port 1 is injected with the incident energy. Probably we should have provision to collect this particular reflected power. At the same time, we should have some provision for knowing the transmitted power. If this incident power, reflected power, and transmitted power, these are known to us, those are used by the device for calculation of variety of parameters directly. So one of the major component over here is the source for stimulus. Next, the signal separation device. This particular part is called as the signal separation device. Under this, we can use power splitters, one can use directional couplers, or maybe some sort of bridges are incorporated over here. And they are trying to separate out your incident power, the reflected power, and transmitted power from each other. So you may say that you need the PI, incident power, you need the reflected power, PR, and you need over here the power, PT. So three powers are to be separated out, and for that purpose, we have to have this kind of, we can say, signal separations, right? The next block required over here is a receiver, right? This receiver will down convert and detect the signals because you have generated something over here, right? And to make it, we can say that measurable, right? One has to detect this particular, say, the reflected power, the incident power, as well as the transmitted power. And for that purpose, receiver becomes the important parameter, the important block in this particular, say, VNA block diagram. And finally, you are in need of the kind of processors and displays for calculating and reviewing results. So here the display will show you ultimately the results. Maybe the parameter like the S11 parameter, maybe S22 parameter that we have seen earlier. Likewise, S21, right? Maybe S12 kind of parameter. So maybe S11, S22 called as reflection parameters, S21, S12 called as the uh, transmission parameters, right? So that way, the variety of parameters can be known. But looking at the block diagram is very simple. You need the inherent source available over there. Then the device introduced in the ports or the ports available with the device, right? And then the incident power, reflected power, and transmitted power are to be separated out by means of some sort of separation arrangement. And all these power should be detected, received, and those can be now employed to the signal processing blocks so that these powers are processed over there and appropriate results are developed on the particular say screen. So these are the two major building blocks of the particular say uh, network analyzer. Right. Now, as far as source is concerned, now as we are aware, so this particular block diagram is more simplified over here, right? So what type of sources are there? So typically we are having the stimulus required over here. Maybe the sinusoidal signals can be generated. Sometimes the swept frequency or power, that can be a source available over here, right? Now nowadays in most of the Agilent based the Agilent kind of vector analyzers, we are having the integrated and synthesized sources available. It's just theoretical part, and you will get it on this information on the particular website itself, right? Signal separation, as I mentioned, that probably we are having the power splitters available over there or directional couplers available in that particular case. You might be aware of that couplers are nothing but the devices which can accept the power at one particular port. Then at another port, power can be made available as transmitted power. Somewhere the power is coupled over here, and somewhere in another port, probably there is complete isolation shown over here, right? So directional couplers are available in variety of configurations like 3 dB directional couplers, 10 dB directional couplers, 20 dB directional couplers. So that way, what ability you want from the directional couplers, accordingly, the couplers can be detected. Even one can have bridges over there as the power splitter, because finally we are interested in PR, PT, and the PI, right? So that we have seen in the light analogy: incident energy, reflected energy, and transmitted energy. These are known to us. All other parameters that we have seen at the beginning, in the left hand side of the particular device, that is reflected parameters, and right hand side of your device under this is a transmitted parameters. These parameters can be easily known by means of VMS, right? By splitting these powers appropriately. So directional couplers plays vital role over there, and nowadays most of DNAs are having the directional couplers inside that. The detectors, that is again played an important role. This is what the detector shown in the diagram, and in the earlier or inexpensive kind of analyzers, especially scalar analyzers, they use this kind of detectors over there. The scalar broadband detectors, those are called simply diode detectors, are used in that particular case, and they can generate the kind of the DC or this kind of pulsating outputs, right? But today we are having in the vector network analyzers the kind of tuned receivers. So they are super heterodyne kind of receivers. They active radio frequency, they work out with local oscillator frequency, they generate intermediate frequency, and later on this can be provided to the ADC as well as the DSP unit so that it can be processed and that particular data can be made available for presentation purpose, right? So this is what the internal schematic of this, and finally the processor comes and the display comes, right? That is the final unit, and this particular unit is very similar to our CRO scope itself, but this is what divided into so many parameters, and as per our need, one can select the appropriate markers or appropriate tab over there, and that parameter can be seen in that particular case. So there are markers available, limit lines available. There are some pass-fail integrators. The indicators are available. One can have the linear scale, the logarithmic scale. One can have grid plot, sometimes polar plot, as well as the antennas testings are concerned. Even Smith charts can also be developed in that particular case. So the display available just the CRO kind of display, but the variety of parameters can be seen on this particular say VNA. This is what the Fieldbox handheld VNA we are having for our laboratory, and this is available in the variety of frequency ranges. One can see over here. It begins with maybe sometimes 3 gigahertz also, right? But this particular say handheld kind of Fieldbox VNA, right? Those are used in the actual communication field to measure variety of parameters to carry out the testing of variety of components, right? So this is what the display area of this. These are what the control buttons available for this. These are the ports. This is what RF out. This is what RF in. In between this particular say 2 ports, see over here, there is RF out port available. So power or the signal source is available inside this. It is developing some signal to be injected in the device under test. So right now they are testing some material over here. So it's for your understanding purpose shown in this case. Otherwise, this is nothing but our device under is DUT, right? So it is provided with the input power in that case, right? And the power which is transmitted out of this. So you may say that it is injected with PI. It is available in this case as transmitted power to the device, and some power may be reflected back. That is called as PR. So this VNA is taking care of what is being injected, what is the reflected power, and what is the transmitted power. It takes the count of this, provides it to receiver, and provides it to later on for the processing unit, and later on the required results are displayed over here. So this kind of display is possible. Right now this display is showing us the S21 kind of transmission parameter in that case, right? So as I told earlier that this particular say VNAs are available in this particular say range of frequencies, 4 gigahertz, 6.5 gigahertz, 9 gigahertz, and for every 1 gigahertz of frequency rise, probably cost is raised by 1 to 1.5 lakhs in this particular case. And the key options one can select in this particular component, right? Maybe the cable and antenna tester, antenna analyzers, the TDR cable measurements, full 2-port S parameter measurement. Many times S parameter measurement is carried out in a single direction in one way only. And if you want to calculate the another parameters, at that time we have to turn the device in a reverse and again connect it. So to avoid this, typically if we have the full 2-port S parameter kind of arrangement available over there, in a single shot itself, we can calculate S11, S12, S21, and S22. That way, the parameters can be calculated. Time domain calculations. So these are nothing but the kind of, we can say that the supporting facilities one can accommodate into the DNA, and accordingly then you will be building up your vector network analyzer for variety of measurements. In most of the educational institutes, typically we are having this kind of facility in the VN. We can have this particular facility. This is not preferred because it is adding the extra cost to the VNA, because easily change over the action of the particular say device test in that particular case, right? Sometimes time domain quick cal is also the facility nowadays available in the VNA, because calibration is very much important. Whenever you connect the external cables to the ports over here, many times the impedance of that particular say cable is not matched with this particular port, because there are variety of VNA cables available. So in that case, the external devices whenever to be connected over here, right? So in between for the intermediate, the calibration is very essential, and for that purpose nowadays there is a software. We can see that the keys available with this, and just pressing that particular say button over here, we can easily have the quick calibration facilities with. Otherwise, we can do it manually also, right? But manually calibration process is bit cumbersome, or maybe it takes some time, right? So that way you can opt for the required, we can say, components over there, and accordingly you can have your VNA with you, right? Now, what devices one can test with this particular say VNAs? So these many devices one can have. One can have passive components. So these are the passive components. I have a list of passive components shown here. One can have even the active components also, right? Even one can test the antennas, switches, multiplexer, mixers, multipliers that way. And if you look at the integration, device integration from low integration to high integration, let us see over here, that is what RFICs, the MMICs kind of, you can say, modules, right? Those can also be tested by means of various, but provided condition is that you should have those modules incorporated in your VNA. Today, Keysight provides you the kind of gradations into your current VNAs, right? And if you require a kind of upgradation to be, you have to consult to Keysight. They provide you that particular facility, paying some extra charges in that case. All right. Now we are actually migrating to the actual testing and the measurement. So we are now practically going for that how one can measure the variety of parameters. So first of all, we will see what exactly the vector network analyzer is. So I will be showing you now some videos based on the particular, say, measurements. So the very first video will introduce you what exactly the vector network analyzer is, right? And how the variety of parameters, S parameters, can be directly measured over. Then in the second video, we will see that how cable and antenna is being tested. And in the third video, these are very short videos of 5 to 10 minutes only. And I hope that really these particular, say, videos, because the direct measurements are typically applied over there. And the scheme of measurement, as I mentioned, is very similar to the earlier diagram I have shown. There is RF output, there is RF in port available, right? And with this particular, say, RF in and RF output port, you can introduce your device under test by means of suitable cables. Of course, you have to go forward with the calibration of the particular, say, connector connected over there, right? And once you have that particular, say, setup ready with you, right, you turn on the particular, say, vector network analyzer and push the variety of, you can say, required buttons over there. So all these particular settings are shown in the very first view. Later on, we see that how to test the cables, variety of antennas, because today antenna testing is very, very essential in most of the communication field, right? And antennas are being deployed everywhere, starting from your small walk Bluetooth unit or maybe Wi-Fi unit or maybe your mobile phone to the even BTS of the particular, say, long-term evolution technology, or any GSM based technology or CDMA based technology, right? So that way antenna testing is very, very important visual. And at the same time, the third video, you see that some time domain measurements. So I request the organizers to play the very first video for you people. So yes, there are some technical issues while playing the videos, right? So it will be better to see those particular videos. We will provide you the links on the Telegram channel, right? The references for this particular, say, videos are over here. So these are the three videos. You can easily go through that, right? They are available on YouTube also, and those are available from Keysight Technology. These are very excellent videos for us, where in the first video you will understand the VNA itself, how it can be figured for variety of testings, and some simple measurements are carried out there, like S parameters. In the second video, the cable and the antenna based measurements are done, right? Please go through that particular video also. And the third video is for the time parameter measurement is there, right? So these three videos are useful to you, but of course this is not the enough material to understand VNA thoroughly, right? You have to practicize it if you are having VNAs in your laboratory, please visit Keysight website. There are excellent videos available over there for measurement of each and every quantity, right? So try to understand basic quantities associated with each and every component. Probably in your colleges you are having microwave laboratories. Variety of components are lying over there, maybe isolator, the directional couplers, circulators, right? These components are available. Antennas are there, right? Try to test them whether they are meeting the required specifications or not, right? So it will give you the good insight over there. If some of your final year projects, final year students have developed some kind of, we can say, components like the mixers or maybe the power splitters, the antennas, right? So you can test those particular components or the assignments of the network analyzers, right? And try to see where whatever specifications those people have laid down, whether those are really available with the VNA or not. So with this, probably you will be getting a good insight to practice with the VNA, the measurements, or especially the measurements in the RF and the microwave domain, right? So with this, I am ending my session. Thank you very much for your patience and for your uh, learning. Thank you. So over to Professor Sontakti, the organizing team.
Thank you very much, sir, for giving such a nice and a very wonderful session regarding how we are able to use certain RF uh, components or the equipments. And definitely, our participants will definitely get the benefit out of this particular session. Thank you once again, sir. Now it's a request to all the participants. We'll be showing you some of the facilities created in our institute. So kindly wait for only 2 minutes because we are extremely sorry for what are the technical issues currently today we are facing. And we'll be starting this session within 5 minutes, and we'll be showing you the actual laboratory facilities we have created. So kindly be with us only to take 5 minutes. Thank you for patiently listening. So kindly be with us. Thank you. Uh, so dear participants, will be back again, and regarding what are the laboratory equipments or the practical experimentations designed our in our institute. We'll be showing the content or how they have designed it by showing certain uh, the snaps of it. So I'll be requesting Professor Shure sir to start with the session. Over to you, sir.
Thank you, sir. Hello, everyone. As the theme of this particular STTP is how the electronics, as a electronics branch, how we can be innovative and the practical approach toward the electronics branch. So, in practical approach, the lab plays a very important role. So, in our institute, each and every lab is associated with uh, one of the industry, and not only industry but the and not only the student but faculty also, uh, faculty and technical staff which is handle that particular lab, it plays an important role while developing that particular lab. So how one can utilize the lab in the electronics department? There are four aspects: the knowledge, understanding, application, and analysis. So knowledge is a primary source from where we can take a different ideas. Once we are getting the knowledge, now we all are related with this particular electronics branch, and in 5 days we learn too many things related to IoT, Arduino's, communication, power, then the basics of analog communication. So now we have a knowledge. Now the next is understanding how much we are understood from the knowledge. So for that we have a quiz of every day. Okay, so we know that we can understood the in a better way. Once the understanding is in better way, then we can develop an application. So the next phase after the what is the outcome of this particular STTP, that if each and every attendee of this particular STTP can develop his own application after this STTP, then we can say that outcome is fulfilled from this particular STTP. So we are going to now each and everyone need to start working on small application, not as such a big application, but small gadget, using sensor, using Arduino boards, using microcontroller boards, and try to interface different devices, try to communicate. So basic things already covered, that what is communication, what are the things required for communication in day one. In day two, it is covered by an architect, that how Arduino plays an important role, how the microcontroller can be interfaced for different devices. And then next day, the Arduino interfacing with different sensor with PLC is covered. And then Sontake sir covered the communication protocols and the communication things. So we can interface the different devices with different boards, and we can develop one small application and need to analyze what kind of analysis as an lab assistant or as a technical person of that particular lab. We need to analyze that particular application. Analysis can be done in different way. So analysis, we can say it's a feedback. So we can demonstrate that particular application to our student, to remaining faculty members of college, and we have to taken the feedback. So how they feel, what are their comments, that is the first analysis. Second analysis is a technical analysis. What is we are expecting while designing that one particular application should give this much of output, but actually in practically when that application is developed, the product or that application is giving real time this much output. We are expecting this much and practically taking this much. So what is the difference? So how we can improve the output? So that is the second type of analysis, how we can that is the second, that is the technical analysis. And third is one can think about the commercialization of that particular application, how I can commercialize, how I can sell out that particular small gadget, or how I can merge that application into the different applications available or different products available in the market. So in the commercialization aspect, can we think? So if we can complete this cycle, knowledge, understanding, application, and analysis, we can say that the lab outcome is automatically generated. The student can learn from basic to end. Even faculty, staff member, technical staff member associated with that lab can develop the application, and starting from knowledge and end with the product. So this is the normal way we are following for every lab of the department. So here I'm taking the example of network and communication lab of the PCCOE college of the ENTC department. So in this particular lab, 3 subject practical is performed by the student. First one is the mechatronics, second one is the computer network, and third one is the system programming and operating system, that is of SPOS. So mechatronics deals with the Arduino, how the different sensor can be interfaced with Arduino, then how to write the program, small program through Arduino, and how that program can be burned into the Arduino. Then computer network, the adjoining subject of the mechatronics, is also there in that network communication lab, where students learn once they have interfaced the different sensors with Arduino. Can they communicate? can that particular kit itself communicate with the other devices like a system, like a mobile, or remotely can we control that particular application? Let us consider through another lab. You start your system and you have one application, and through that application can you control your practical kit, that you press upper button or one as a key from your laptop, and in that particular kit the LED will be blink. So that kind of small application is performed by the students under the CN. So first they have tried to understood the Arduino, and they are going to interface through CN, and then system programming and operating system also plays an important role to develop the programming skill. Once this small application is developed, how programmatically we can develop that application in more efficient way. So altogether these three subjects will motivate and encourage to student, faculty and staff member associated with that particular lab to develop a small gadgets as a application or as a prototype or product, we can say. So these are some outcome of that particular lab. We developed Delta robots, illusion detector for home security is a product developed by students. Then universal ATM card using FPGA. Also, we can use not only Arduino or microcontroller, but we can use FPGA board. Once we know how to interface a few things with one particular board, we can interface that sensor with any kind of board available in the market. So that is one thing, that is one outcome, we can say a project, or we can say prototype or product. The second one is student also got the best project awards also. Every faculty, not only faculty but technical staff associated with this particular lab file a patent. So total 7 patent till now filed under this network and computing lab, and 4 copyrights. Whatever the lab manual, once we have developed our own kits for practical purpose, we can have that rights to make a to register the lab manual for copyright. So we have registered all 3 subject lab manual under the Copyright Act. And we are getting that got that particular certificate from Copyright Office from Government of India. Again, different activities also we can perform under the lab, that is the poster making competition, case study. First we can have a presentation on that particular case study, and then we can sort out a particular case study, and then sorted or selected case study we can choose for making the prototype or product. So these are some kits develop under the mechatronics lab or network and communication lab. So 5 setups we have developed under mechatronics practical sessions. First one is the position control using servo mechanism with photoelectric pickup or using sensor like potentiometer. So here uh, student can have their own servo mechanism. Means what servo mechanism means, student here try to able how feedback can be appear. So whenever you rotate one input motor, the output wheel, as you see over here, this wheel. So at from one side you have to rotate potentiometer by from 0 degree to 30 degree. The wheel should rotate by 30 degree. Okay, and the output of that particular wheel is again measured by potentiometer only, and potentiometer output can be visible on the screen. So output port should be rotated by 30 degree. If it is rotated by 29 degree or 32 degree, means there is a error. So using feedback mechanism you have to correct that error, and you have to rotate that wheel again 2 degree in forward position or reverse position. So it is done automatically, that feedback taken by potentiometer uh, trace out whether the wheel should be rotated in forward or reverse direction. So for this student and faculty member develop various kinds of kits. Here you can say the scale, and on that scale that pot is attached, and one end of the pot that wheel is attached. There are many different approaches to design. So we need to think how that kit appear beautifully, okay, beautiful, so that we can use different methods to interface the components. The second one is the angular position and velocity measurement using rotary encoder, where student need to measure the velocity. So here that picture is not here with me right now. Here student have their own particular car type of model, and when that car is moving from one position to another position, you will get an data into your screen that how much the speed of your car, how much is the velocity and angular position of your wheel. So all the current position data of your car can be accessed on your screen in second practical. The third practical is weight measurement using load cell or strain gauge. So here one can learn how the load cell is work and how we can measure the load on the load cell. So in day-to-day life we use load cell to measure the things which we are going to purchase from the market. So can we able to make our own load cell to verify the measured quantity from the merchant at our home? Yes, we can easily able to make our own load cell, and we can connect that load cell with your computer, so that on your computer screen the measured material load weight can be seen easily. So that one experiment is done under this mechatronics lab. Next one is the liquid level measurement. Nowadays in every society this problem is occurred that when you the tank is fill up completely, the water is getting overflow, and too much water is waste from that, because no one is there to switch off the motor, and it takes some time and water wastage can be occur. So to avoid that, can we interface a water level sensor, a simple capacitive sensor into the tank, and the on your mobile phone that message will appear that level of your tank is this much, and now you have to alert message, you have to switch off your motor. So that experiment is done practically. We have demonstrate this particular experiment in one of the society, even in our college tank also, water system also. And then interfacing of any two sensors with DAC. So in all first four practical, we need to access the data in real time and through remote location. So how we can access using data acquisition system? So student can able to learn data acquisition system under this particular kit. So different kits we have developed under this particular lab. So another outcome is a student develop the Delta robot, and they have successfully reached in top 35 teams in national level competition, that is Mitsubishi Electric Cup in last year. In same cup 2017 and 18 also student reach in top 35 teams, where they have made up the another robot, okay, that is pick and place robot. And in last previous year 2019-20, PCCOA team successfully reached in top 10 position of this Mitsubishi Electric Cup, where they have made SCARA robots also. So SCARA robot, Delta robot, and pickup and place robot have been developed under this particular lab. So this is one product is developed by student under this particular lab, where they have interface only two sensors in this particular body, and when you put this particular product onto your wall or on your door or window side, and whenever there is no one at your home, and let us consider someone try to open your door without your permission, so this device will sense that someone is try to open your door, and it will notify you on your mobile that someone is there. So you can make a call to your watchman or nearby police station, and you can take the remain action against that. So this is very good product. This product is launched. This is also filed under the patent, and this is launched, and its price is only 299. So in 3000 this product you can purchase. It requires one time charging. Once you charge, it will run for a month, 30 days. Okay, without charging you can play it. So this product we have developed under mechatronics and computer network subject. Then another team also select for this DST and Texas Instrument Innovative Challenge, where we are getting 15,000 rupees of component for innovative idea, and we have developed that idea as well. That is the smart river cleaning machine. So some students from this particular lab start their project. So as I mentioned, that product developed by Shubham Chopde, Atharva Kulkarni. So they have started their business under the product name Ajna. One of the student, Nilesh Komatwar, start his business in 2018 for digital marketing, and another student in 2015 he start his startup in the area of embedded and VLSI and training and consultancy also, because students learn practically, so they can easily give training to others, juniors or any other agencies also. So these are some glimpses of student entrepreneurs. Faculty awards and recognition. Recently we have developed one product under this particular lab. I want to show you that particular product, that is of contactless hand sanitizer machine. So here we have used relay, one DC motor, then pump, one solenoid valve, and using this four component only, and one proximity sensor. Using these four component only, we develop this automatic hand sanitizer. So this is the structure of that particular hand sanitizer, where all four sensors are interface with each other, and you can put your hand below this particular sensor and it will spread. So our two faculty, including me and Gade sir, start our own startup named as the Syntronics Lab in the incubation center of Pimpri Chinchwad College of Engineering. So we have incubation facility also. So faculty student can start their own startups associated with college. So in association with Synchronous Lab and PCCOE, we have developed this product under Mechatronics Lab, having price of 5,000 rupees starting price, where you can store 3 liter of your sanitizer and you can use it. So I can show you one video also, if it is visible. uh, Look at here. So this is how we develop. So when you put your hand below that particular sensor, that liquid comes and you can sanitize your. So now in each and every department of our college, this particular sensor is put over there, and all faculties are using this particular product. So this way we can think of small product practically. So actually our planning is to show all the kit developed by our student, our faculty, all the product in tomorrow's lecture and in tomorrow's session. But because of the lockdown held in Pimpri Chinchwad city from tomorrow to till next 15 days, we cannot able to show you the practical demonstration of that particular kits. Those are available in the lab. So we are unable to show you that kits, and that's why the glimpses of that kits and videos I'm trying to show you today. So we are also feel happy that we are showing something related to that particular session, instead of directly cancel out that session completely. Okay, so if you have any doubt, if anytime if you want to develop any particular application, if you have any idea, we are here to help out you. Okay, we'll give you the guidance how to interface the sensor, how where, how to commercialize the things, how to make a prototype. Many contacts we are having, so we can give you in all aspect whatever the help you want. Okay, even if you want to start your own startup, if your faculty, if your students start your own startups, we have a incubation center. So where the student or faculty member or startup will get the internet access, the infrastructure facility, and all lab facility also. So technical guidance also will be provided to that particular startup. So this is what we are developing our one-to-one lab. So every lab is connected with industry. Now this network and communication lab is connected with two industry. One is Minda and one is innovative solution. And through innovative solution, that day 2 days before that innovative solution person gives you the session. So through innovative solution only we connect with the Mitsubishi, and successfully 3 years continuously we reach up to the top 35. Not only top 35, last year we reach up to first 10th position in that particular competition. And now Mitsubishi is also going to invest into our lab. So they are willing to invest in our lab, and they are giving some fund for developing the kits and products. So slowly we can develop our lab, our not only lab. So through lab, when one particular technical staff member think of his own lab, automatically department is developed and automatically college will also develop. So it is continuous process. So you have to start with knowledge. I think through this HTTP, this knowledge and understanding will be I think over, or you get some knowledge and you understood that particular knowledge, and now the next phase is application and analysis. If we are will get some positive response from you people, then we are going to arrange one more HTTP where how to develop application product and how to do analysis and how to do the commercialization of that particular product, including its patent, how we can go for patent and copyright, secure your product, and then commercialize. So all these aspects we will going to cover in the next HTTP if the positive response is come from your side. So you take your time, you take your own time to understood the knowledge you are getting from this 5-6 days HTTP. Okay, try to understood the things. Okay, we are going to share all the videos which is going to be recorded through this HTTP. So try to learn the things, try to understand the knowledge, and then try to develop your application. And when you start to develop your application, for sure you will get some minor queries. Okay, come to us, and then when few people come reach to us, we'll start one new HTTP for application and analysis purpose. So this is from my side. Again, sorry, we cannot able to show you the practical demonstration of kits which is going to happen in tomorrow's session, but some glimpses which I'm going to convey tomorrow, is supposed to be conveyed tomorrow, I'm showing today only. So I hope you are getting some idea. So you can go in this particular way and you will be succeed in your life. Thank you so much for attending this 5 or 6 days session. We can say 5 days now, 5 days session patiently, and your response is really very good. So we are very feel very happy that we got some good audience, because that is also very important when we talk about any successfulness of any particular workshop or any particular event. The response of audience uh, shows you the successfulness of that particular event. So we are feeling very lucky that we get audience like you. You are attending these sessions of all day sessions very sincerely, very thoroughly. Your response was very good. We are quite happy, and will try to arrange one more HTTP for you if some positive response from your side will get. Thank you so much. Hand over to Sontakke sir once again. Last 5 minutes he will be delivered to you, and then this session will be off. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, sir. Uh, So dear participants, as you're aware about lockdown will start from the tomorrow, so you're not able to continue with your last day of the STTP. So today only we are continuing our STTP, and hopefully you'll be getting at least some positive data change. What is the knowledge our speaker trying to convey to you, and definitely that will be very much useful in your future career as well. So I'll start with the vote of thanks. I'd like to thank with our honorable principal, Dr. G.V. Parishwar sir, who will be continuous in our providing the guidance and support to all our faculties. Not only our principal but also the lead academics, Dr. N.V. Chopre sir, our HOD Department of Electronics and Telecommunication, Dr. M.T. Cole sir. Continuously they will be in our background and will be providing a huge guidance, and without the guidance this particular STTP will not be possible. And thank you once more for all the participants, because you listen these sessions by taking us so much huge interest, and we'll be getting your feedback as well every day. And thank you very much once again. Being a coordinator of this particular STTP, myself, Professor P.V. Sontakke, along with my colleagues, Professor M.M. Narkhe sir and Professor U.R. Chodare sir, we'd like to thank all the team of the Technovators. And not only that, but also I'd like to give my gratitude towards the from day 1 to day 5 speakers, Professor K.V. Kotame sir, Professor M.M. Narkhe sir, Professor U.R. Shirode sir, Professor again sir, for elaborating all the very important and very fine factors and a very brief knowledge. And I'm quite sure that this particular information is very much useful to all of you, and will be coming in the next sessions as well in the next upcoming STTP. So your feedback is also very much useful for us. So with this, we'll be floating to after this particular session, we'll be floating our feedback form to you, and that would be the final feedback from our side. So try to provide what is your input so that we can improve based on the feedbacks you are getting. And again, our next STTP will be a kind of advanced version of this STTP, and we'll try to cover you all the latest technologies in association with the industries, and we'll give more insights of the electronics and telecommunication equipments and the tools we are currently using for enhancement of our knowledge. Thank you, and thank you very much. So I'll be floating the feedback on your emails as well as on a Telegram and WhatsApp group. So kindly fill it up, and if you're having any kind of queries, you can simply ping it on the Telegram group. And once you fill all the information in the feedback group or the form, you'll be immediately getting the certificates as well, isn't it? So if you're having any query regarding the certificates also, you can contact to me or Narkhe sir or Shirode sir. We are the coordinators of this particular activity. Thank you very much again.